Hello, welcome to the Airco Academy. It's part two of the new item creation for cylinders, and as previously mentioned, we will be dealing in Trackabout for the creation of the part number. So let's go ahead and get started. And in Trackabout, we're going to do the following steps, and as you can see, there's a lot of steps. First, we're going to make sure that our part number from P21 came over, and we'll look at that by looking at the new product codes requiring mapping menu. Asset classifications, well, we'll need to assign the cylinder an asset classification with all of those steps below. And then finally, we'll need to edit the product code, which entails the current mapping, tracking status, assigning the correct empty code, and then adding 10 years for valid test date. So you're looking at this and you're like, wow, why are there so many steps? There's why all the steps. So for the rent calculation, we've got to know what bucket that cylinder goes into, because a industrial cylinder should not be charged the same price as a bulk tank or a specialty gas or a 6K. For the empty count, when we do verification or selection in P21, those empty cylinders are being counted by P21. They're coming over. So there is an inventory of empty cylinders in P21 as right now. They're all inventory adjustments. We don't see them. We really don't care right now because we don't have a fill plant. But when the fill plant comes operational, that becomes very vital information on how many cylinders we have in the yard, empty cylinders. Another step that we have to look at is the exchange rental behavior. There's a box that's critical because if we check that box incorrectly, it's going to treat that cylinder differently when it's returned, when it's sent out. And last, decide how to track the deliveries. And there's 4 different options on how we can track a cylinder. And I'll show you how almost all of them are one way, but we do treat some cylinders a little bit differently on how that revenue is getting generated. And as it says on the screen, third-party out-of-area deliveries. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump into Trackabout. And a big, I guess, caution, maybe not caution, is most of you will not be doing these steps. It's very minutia. It's very tedious work to set up a cylinder part number. The good thing is we don't have too many cylinders that need to get set up at any one time, unlike, say, hard goods. And if we did, let's say, had 50 EPA protocols that need to get uploaded, we can ask Trackabout to help us with that. But for the one-offs or whatever it may be, we can do it, but these are the steps that need to be taken. So if the salesman says, hey, I've got to have this right now, you've got to understand that it's going to take, say, 5, 10, 15 minutes to do all the steps in P21 in Trackabout. Because if we don't do them, all these items 1 through 4 can be impacted, and we can bill out rent incorrectly, not bill it out at all, lose cylinders. There's a whole host of things that can go wrong if we don't do it right from the get-go. So let's go over into Trackabout and at the home screen. So if you've printed out the PowerPoint, which I recommend that you do for all these videos, it says new product codes requiring mapping. Very long terms, I guess you want to say. So just type in new products, MP, I guess, new P, sorry. And up comes this menu. And you can see there's some other cylinders that we should have tracked. Some of them just need to go away, to be honest. But we're really concerned about this guy right here. And like, Craig, you're saying that all these steps I've got to do, but it says remap. Why don't we just hit that button? Okay, let's hit it. All right, that looks great. That's our description that came up from P21. Sure, category. It's an industrial cylinder, Craig. It's a group. It's a mix. We'll come down here. And the type, it's an AIC. Can't do it. That's because it's not part of an asset classification. There is no type in Trackabout right now. We have to create that. So, that being said, come up here and let's type in asset classifications and click on that. And you're going to see this screen. So taking the same logic, let's try to find where it would belong. We know it doesn't exist, so okay, where does it need to go? Well, we know it's industrial. And we scroll down here. And yes, it has all the empty codes here. That's why this list looks very long. Mix. Oh, okay. Yeah, you should be maybe somewhere along there. So what you do is this little green arrow, and you're going to add new type below. So the type. Type is actually the item number that helps. So C8T. Description on the rental bill. I have it on my clipboard. And to rental group, it's cylinder rental. You only got one option, rental class. All right, so it's industrial and it's a large. It's a T, so find industrial, large. Replacement price, right now we don't do anything with it, but we will at one time. This right here is very important. If this is an EI cylinder, this needs to say yes, because the behavior that will be applied to it, the Trackabout, their logic is completely different, meaning that if it's an EI, they can bring it back, it can be negative. Also, it's not closed loop, it can go wherever from a previous module. If it's an AI, a rental, and it gets returned by somebody else, that original customer is going to get credit. So once again, just be very careful that you make sure to select the correct if it's an EI or an AI. It's on a bulk tank. And here, you have to put in something, and I'll just show you guys. It wants something, so we just default to 10. And hit save. So now you set up the item. Next step is you've got to edit the product code. And all this is because you've got to create linkages in Trackabout for the empties, for the rental, for the classifications. So let's go to product code mappings. And let's type in our item. Doesn't really matter if it's uppercase or lowercase. Okay, so there it is, and you can see it's new. It needs to be pointed somewhere. So let's go ahead and edit. Product group looks good. So you can see product group and item have it's the same thing. Once again, you can see how they're reusing some of these, the part number for multiple different fields. Nothing there. Okay, current mapping. Oh, we got to do something here. All right, industrial. And we know it's what? Mix type. There's our guy because we just set him up 2 minutes ago. Remap. Now here, there's no really back button that I wish they would have. So you kind of go back here and you go back here. But you can see the AICAT. Everything defaults to all assets, so you don't have to do anything here. Tracking status. 99% of our cylinders are right here. We have some right here, tracked but not barcoded. And this is the third-party deliveries that are being made on our behalf at some of the dental locations further south. But this is internal. 99, I would almost say, if you set one of these part numbers up, this is what you're going to choose. Absolutely ignore. Don't worry about any of the other ones. That's really cylinder control. The next most important step here is the empty code. So, category, industrial. So what is it again? An AICAT. So we know that's a what? Oh, so you're thinking, well, it's a mix. Well, here that's technically correct, but you're looking for the empty code. So you're like, oh, okay. If it's an empty code, it's an AI 300 variable. And the type in the product code you can see automatically change. So for the group, you really need this part is what you're looking for the empty code. And like I said, it fills it in automatically. Don't worry about this allowed for actions. And once again, it needs test validate in years, 10. And let's go back here to double check. And you can see our AI C8T has been mapped correctly. And that is basically the steps needed to create a cylinder in Trackabout so that it will talk correctly not just with P21, but also for the rental billing purposes. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Thank you.